Welcome back. You are still watching Newsnight, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja, here in the Arise News studio. Still on Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, is asking President Bola Tinubu to pay greater attention to fighting corruption in the public service. Obi calls on the president to conduct proper investigations and recoveries of missing or stolen funds while not sweeping past corrupt matters under the carpet. The former governor of Anambra State advised the president to eliminate corruption through increased transparency and accountability in public procurement and contract award processes. Obi wants all future borrowing to be tied to regenerative investments and visible productive assets that benefit the nation to ensure productivity. Peter Obi also condemns Tinubu's frequent overseas travels, saying he spent over 30% or about 180 days abroad.
Corruption, official efficiency, fiscal profligacy, and the mismanagement of public resources continue to rise astronomically in our country, spreading across all spheres of government. Similarly, nepotism and disregard for the Constitution, rule of law, and due process have become the norm. Our national debt has risen astronomically from approximately 15 trillion in 2015 to over 100 trillion today. This sharp increase has occurred within the last 18 months under the current administration. Ironically, these borrowings are largely allocated to non-generative programs and projects, leaving little to tangible development assets.
Joining us now on Newsnight is the National Publicity Secretary of Nigeria's governing All Progressives Congress APC, Felix Morka. He's in our Lagos studio. Welcome to Newsnight. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for joining us, Mr. Morka. The president, in his New Year's speech, acknowledged the hardships that Nigerians are facing, especially when it comes to rising food prices, inflation. However, also highlighting progress areas in oil production, foreign direct investments. I just wanted to ask you, because on ground, the reality is that many ordinary Nigerians are still grappling with the rising cost of living crisis. So how does the APC reconcile these macroeconomic gains that are being touted to the daily realities being faced by Nigerian citizens?
Thank you very much and Happy New Year to you. The president in his New Year's statement was very clear. He did, in fact, lay out, just very broad strokes of some of the major progress that this administration has attained in the last, several months. While realistically acknowledging that there remain challenges to the country, economic challenges, even security challenges to the country. The president is being very balanced and very real with Nigerians. He's not trying to gaslight anyone. He is calling it as it is. Now, having said that, economics is economics. Economics is not magic. Macroeconomic, gains will, in time, translate to specific dining table, living room benefits to Nigerians. That is already starting. Now, you see, I listened to your previous guests, Mr. Ame, who was speaking about poverty as though Nigeria has been without poverty since, our independence, or even before independence. That is not the case. As of 2012, 2013, 2014, nearly 50% of Nigerians lived in multidimensional poverty. You see, I think it's really misleading for anyone, whether it's Peter Obi or Mr. Ame or anyone else, to come on national television to, speak about poverty as though poverty dropped from the sky last night. It didn't. No one wishes for any citizen to be poor or to live in poverty or to struggle with basic, necessities. No one, not the president, not myself, not any Nigerian, I believe. But, unfortunately, that is the human condition. That, even in some of the wealthiest countries of the world, people struggle, and they, initiate programs that are aimed to transform the fundamental conditions that create or sustain poverty. That is what this president is doing. Now, if the richest countries of the world can initiate policies and actually create targets which are monitored over the short, medium, and long term for those targets to be achieved, now, who says that, we mustn't do that? That once a policy is announced, everything is supposed to completely, resolve. Now, look at the, energy sector. We are seeing improvements. Yes, there was that, deregulation, that whole removal of subsidy, which created initial, pain, and maybe the pain, continues to linger. However, with the reforms that are beginning to now bear fruits, we have, our local refineries that have been moribund for long periods of time, over decades. They didn't function through the significant portion of the PDP administration in this country. These refineries were simply just sitting there. Nothing was going on. Now, Portharcourt is running. Warri has just, started to run. So, look, my point is that, the benefits from all of this, in terms of economies of scale, how this then translates to maybe cheaper fuel, we're already seeing stability. This is the first Christmas I know in recent years where we were not queuing for petrol. That is a benefit. The price has just lowered in the last couple of weeks. That is also a benefit. And over time, competition. When Warri is producing, Portharcourt is producing, hopefully, Kaduna begins to, burn, and Dangote, is also producing. There's no way that we're not going to see, a progressive decrease in price of petrol to make it easier for people to actually buy fuel and power their, machines, whether it's cars or other forms of machine. But I think that, we need to all just take a perspective and understand that these benefits we speak about are beginning to, come down, in the, way it matters.
Mr. Morka, if you can hear me, Mr. Morka, I think Nigerians have heard this multiple times, that the reforms that this administration have put in place is beginning to bear fruit. And speaking of the Labour Party leader, in his New Year message, Peter Obi painted a rather bleak picture of the current state of Nigeria. And in your press statement, you dismissed his claim. You said it's as gloom-reading and politically motivated. Now, we just wanted to talk about some of the concrete examples of how the APC is addressing these challenges. You've said yourself that some of these policies, it makes it more important when you can see the tangible gains for Nigerians. For example, when you talk about the CNG conversions, we haven't seen that go around the whole states, or we haven't seen any sort of tangible gain that Nigerians are getting from these reforms. All we keep hearing is they are beginning to bear fruit, and this administration has been in power for 19 months. So to counter Peter Obi or any other opposition effectively, we would need some sort of more concrete examples. What are your thoughts?
Look, what I said earlier, I was simply trying to say that economic policy reform of any kind, however small, needs time to reach its fullness of materialization. That is true. I'm not making it up. That's true. Even when we make our own budgets at home, it takes time to see, your savings if you're trying to save, or to see your investment grow if you're trying to invest. It's no different from a country. Because it's a country we're talking about does not mean that every time the president or the, whatever authorities announce a program of reform, then all of the fullness of its benefits must materialize in the instant. Now, look, every farmer in this country knows that they are earning more today than they did in the previous era. That is true. I mean, I know farmers who confirm that to me, and I think that even analysts will agree that farmers overall are doing better today. Not to say that there are no challenges, but they're doing better in terms of wealth creation for themselves, and which is also a system of incentives for them to farm more and grow more food to feed our country. If
you can hear me, are there any statistics or is there any data to show that farmers are earning more right now?
Look, I'm not, I don't, unfortunately, I don't have any hard set of data to provide to you, but I'm happy to do a statement where I can provide that information and you can, pick it up, subsequently. But, this is not, I'm not stating a fact that is actually, in controversy. I think that anybody who is, I think who is familiar with the agricultural sector will know that, a lot of farmers are gaining through their produce under this administration than they did previously. I mean, like I said, maybe I will put out, a note that will, supply some of those details. But, again, look at the country. For the first time in a very long time, this country is recording trade surpluses in massive numbers, consistently for 3 consecutive, quarters. We have recorded massive trade surpluses. That's a positive. Now, does that mean that everybody in Nigeria today is, able to have it easy? No, it doesn't mean that, but it means that we are on track to translating the, the benefits of, exporting more than we are importing to our people, which will also reflect on both, the strength of our currency and all of that.
All right, Mr. Morka, if you can hear me, unfortunately, we've run out of time. That's all we can take, but we will be expecting that statement and just follow up on this topic. Thank you so much for joining me on Newsnight. The National Publicity Secretary, All Progressives Congress.